Between 1986 and 2000, a tumultuous period unfolded in Uganda, following the victory of Yoweri Museveni's National Resistance Army, NRA, in the Ugandan Bush War. Seeking retribution, the NRA executed Operation Simsim, a brutal campaign involving burning, looting, and widespread violence against ethnic groups in northern Uganda. This tumultuous environment gave rise to rebel factions, with some former Ugandan army members forming alliances with Museveni, while others resisted in the north. Notably, a civilian resistance movement emerged in late 1987, led by Alice Lakwena. Operating on non-violent principles and inspired by her interpretation of the Holy Spirit's guidance, Lakwena's followers employed unconventional methods such as carrying sticks and stones. It was in this moment Joseph Kony, influenced by Lakwena's ideology, initially aligned with her before eventually distancing himself and adopting his own superstitious practices. As Lakwena's Holy Spirit mobile force achieved battlefield successes by August 1987, the movement seemed poised to march toward the capital, Kampala. However, Lakwena's defeat in 1988 and her subsequent flight to Kenya created an opportunity for Kony to recruit remnants of her Holy Spirit movement into what later became the infamous Lord's Resistance Army, LRA. Throughout the early 1990s, the LRA's activities intensified with military support from Sudan, retaliating against Uganda's backing of rebels in South Sudan. This period saw horrifying atrocities, including the killing and abduction of villagers and the forced conscription of schoolgirls into the LRA. In response, the Ugandan government established protected camps in 1996. The LRA, in a strategic move, declared a short-lived ceasefire during the 1996 Ugandan presidential election, possibly anticipating a change in leadership. Yet the conflict persisted, with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, reporting over 6,000 children held by the LRA in northern Uganda by 1999. This dark chapter marked a distressing era in Uganda's history, characterized by conflict, human rights abuses, and the widespread suffering of its population. In March 2002, the NRA, under the new name of the Uganda People's Defense Force, UPDF, launched a massive military offensive codenamed Operation Iron Fist against the LRA bases in southern Sudan, with agreement from the National Islamic Front. In retaliation, the LRA attacked the refugee camps in northern Uganda and the eastern Equatoria in southern Sudan, brutally killing hundreds of civilians. By 2004, according to the UPDF spokesman Shaban Bantariza, mediation efforts by the Carter Center and the Pope John Paul II had been spurned by Kony. In February 2004, the LRA unit led by Okot Odiambo attacked Barlonyo IDP camp, killing over 300 people and abducting many others. In 2006, UNICEF estimated that the LRA had abducted at least 25,000 children since the conflict began. In January 2006, 8 Guatemalan Cabilas commandos and at least 15 rebels were killed in a botched UN Special Forces raid, targeting the LRA deputy leader Vincent Otti in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The conflict forced many civilians to live in internally displaced person, IDP camps, such as this Labuhe IDP camp near Kitgum, Uganda in 2005. According to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, or OCHA, the LRA attacks and the government's counterinsurgency measures resulted in the displacement of nearly 95% of the Akoli population in 3 districts of northern Uganda. By 2006, 1.7 million people lived in more than 200 internally displaced person, IDP camps in northern Uganda. These camps had some of the highest mortality rates in the world. The Ugandan Ministry of Health and Partners estimated that through the first 7 months of 2005, about 1,000 people were dying weekly, chiefly from malaria and AIDS. During the same time period of between January and July 2005, the LRA abducted 1,286 Ugandans, and violence accounted for 9.4% of the 28,283 deaths, occurring mostly outside camps. Between 2006 and 2008, a series of meetings occurred in Juba, Sudan, involving the government of Uganda and the Lord's Resistance Army. mediated by South Sudanese separatist leader Riek Machar. A truce was signed on August 26, 2006, with LRA forces relocating to assembly areas in Garamba National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo, protected by an agreement not to be attacked by the Ugandan government. In December 2008 to March 2009, joint military efforts by Uganda, Congo, and South Sudan aimed to dismantle LRA camps in Garamba, but faced limited success. The U.S.-supported Operation Lightning Thunder triggered retaliatory attacks, resulting in over 1,000 deaths and numerous abductions. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the LRA massacres occurred, displacing hundreds of thousands. By August 2009, LRA activities in the Democratic Republic of Congo led to the displacement of up to 320,000 Congolese, prompting UNICEF's Anne Veneman to warn of famine threats. The LRA continued attacks, crucifying victims in Ezo, South Sudan, in August 2009. In December 2009, LRA forces under Dominic Ongwen killed civilians in the DR Congo, and the following years saw continued violence, displacements, and a worsening humanitarian crisis. By May 2010, the LRA had caused significant casualties and displacements across the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and the Central African Republic. In March 2012, Uganda announced a new African Union military force, but forces pursuing the LRA withdrew in April 2013 after political upheavals in the Central African Republic. As of 2022, the LRA was reported to consist of splinter groups with around 1,000 members, acting more like a criminal gang than a military force. Notably, in January 2024, a commander and colonel of the LRA, Thomas Quayello, faced trial in Uganda for war crimes, including rape, murder, kidnapping, and enslavement, with the trial ongoing.